Hello, all. I'm Robert Knowles.
And I'm Richard Simpson. Today we want to discuss the creation of the Mussolini government and the ideas that came with it. In 1922, when Mussolini came to power, his goal, personal goal, was to become a dictator, a single man power in Italy. Problem was, Italy still had a democracy at the time. With that democracy came multiple parties. As is typical in Europe, there were many different parties. And when Mussolini first came to power, he found himself with a small part of the government himself, but with a coalition which included with a coalition that consists of fascists, nationalists, liberals, and two Catholic clerics from the Popular Party. This created the government of Mussolini in 1922. By 1923, a new law was passed making Italy a single constituency. Before that, it was different states, different provinces, whatever you want to call them in Italy. That would apply to the 1924 elections. Also in 1924, the socialist leader was assassinated, making it kind of bad for Mussolini, even though he denied ever having anything to do with it. And one of his deputies was convicted of doing it. This led to the problems that Mussolini would finally, in 1925, decide it's time to start removing little pesky things like other parties that were made illegal by then, and that constitution that seemed to, always get in his way. The police state was absolutely put in place 5 years into the reign of Mussolini. All the while, the man Mussolini was trying to win the hearts and minds of the Italian people themselves. And I'll let Robert talk about that.
So Mussolini had a rather fractured Italy when he was handed power, shall we say, for lack of a better term. So Mussolini went to work right away, endearing himself to the people. And he did this the same way that another leader later on will do it. And that is, he created jobs. He upgraded Italy. He upgraded the military. And he brought Italy into the current generation. But also what he did was he ended a controversy within Italy. See, Italy had decided many years ago, back in the 1800s, that, Vatican didn't need to be there anymore, and they kind of liked Rome as their capital. So, yeah, they stripped the Catholic Church of all their lands, all their papal states, all their power, and just kind of the Pope locked himself in Vatican City, and it was kind of a standoff forever. Vatican would not recognize Italy. Italy wouldn't recognize the Vatican. And they went back and forth for years. Mussolini drafted up a solution to this problem. And basically what he did was he made Vatican City its own country, granting the Pope basically to be the king of Vatican City. Vatican City was independent. Italy would recognize Vatican City as a country. Also, they turned around and they gave him a whole bunch of money to shut him up for, all the papacy lands that they took. So with a payoff and a nice little, letter that stated, yes, you're now a country, so please support us, the Pope threw his support behind Mussolini, which was very, very important because of a predominantly Catholic area. He needed that support. And up until that point, the Pope was dead against Mussolini, Italy, the government, anything to do with what they were trying to accomplish. So once he appeased the Pope gave him his backing, which therefore led to a stronger Mussolini, especially in the eyes of the people, which later we'll find out is the most important thing. If you have the people, you have the country. And by Mussolini making them prosperous and bringing them into the current generation, he had the people.
The big thing that always comes up when it comes to discussions about pre-World War II Europe is the correlation between the Fascist Party in Italy and the National Socialist German Workers' Party in Germany. The first thing to realize is that the fascists, the name fascist was given to them by Mussolini, and Mussolini used it as his attempt to become the dictator, to acquire all power, to become Il Duce in Italy. This differed from the NSDAP in Germany in that he wasn't trying to take over and create an equality for all people. He wasn't trying to create a socialist government or a socialist dictatorship. This has already been going on in what used to be Russia in the form of Joseph Stalin. Because Mussolini came into power right about the same time Vladimir Lenin was having strokes. And socialist dictatorship was already on the rise. However, Mussolini knew that what he had to do was to win the people, not just take them over. In Germany, the difference was that it started as a socialist party. Nationalist socialists, Germans were better than everybody else. The fascists did not have a racist backbone like the party in Germany did. Yes, they were they were absolutely racist. They thought themselves superior to the Slavs of the areas of Austria-Hungary that they acquired after World War I. And Libya, everybody in Libya was inferior to Italians. But that wasn't the major basis of their foreign policy. And by 1927 or 1929, there was only one party in Italy, the PNF, the National Fascist Party. Mussolini was its head. And yet he was still trying to win the hearts and minds of people. And he had goals of recreating the Roman Empire. The Slavs in the area of the Slavs in the area where Yugoslavia came to be, where Croatia and those countries are now. Mussolini forbade the schools to teach anything in Slavic languages, forbade the churches of the Slavs, forbade anything that was nationally or could be culturally tied to the Slavs. They were to become Italians. Italy conquered or took over Libya and started and began to treat them like they were inferior to the Italians, because according to Mussolini, they were.
One other thing I'd add to that is Mussolini also brought into the schools that people, like children, were being indoctrinated into the fascism way of thinking. They would have to write essays on why Mussolini is the best leader in Europe, and etc. During Mussolini's, shall we say, glory days, his right-hand man was his son-in-law. And his son-in-law helped fight in Libya. He was a bomber. And then he became his father-in-law's right-hand man. However, he had his own mind, which would later spell his doom. And also have a little family turmoil, which we'll cover another time. But just briefly, as the two leaders, the one from Germany and the one from Italy, are banding together, he's becoming more and more worried. Because at the time, Italy had been at war for like 7 years. Constant, nonstop. And the manufacturing needed time to break. He knew this. Mussolini was too blind to see it, but the son-in-law knew this. They needed a break. Time to regroup, rebuild. The military wasn't ready to go on an all-scale war. And the son-in-law knew it. But Mussolini was too blind. He wanted his power and he wanted his Rome and he wanted it now, damn it. And so as we'll see in the next episode, as the leader of Germany is starting to acquire more and more land, Mussolini starts to chomp at the bit because he feels he's being left behind and he's missing his opportunity. So join us next week as we look at the beginning of the end of Mussolini, because he gets too big for his own britches and he ends up executing his son-in-law. But for more on that, tune in next week. For this week, I've been Robert Knowles.
And I'm Richard Simpson. Thank you, and good night.
Richard and I would like to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Until we meet again, another point in history. Have a good day.